If you offered a call straight away to every prospect that came into your DMs, then most of them would say no. If you ask these questions in the right order, then the call actually becomes their idea instead of yours. Think about a doctor. Imagine walking into their office and without asking a single question, they prescribe you a medication. You'd think they were absolutely crazy, but that's what most of you are doing in your DM. Prospect replies to your message and straight away you're trying to get them into a call. The purpose of these questions isn't to sell, it's to diagnose. So these are the exact questions I'm going to show you today. I'm going to walk you through all of these questions that you need to be asking in every single DM appointment setting conversation. Notice how every question builds on the previous one. You're collecting pieces of the puzzle as you go. I'll show you which questions to ask, how to ask them, why you ask them, and how it leads each prospect closer to a call each time. Now, how the conversation starts completely depends on the situation. Obviously, if it's an inbound lead and they're saying a key word, you're probably just going to jump straight into the question. But maybe if it's outbound and your audience maybe need a bit more warming up to it, you might want to build a bit of rapport first for 1 or 2 messages. I wouldn't drag it out. You'll have to judge based on what your audience will respond to best. Some of them you can be more direct with, some of them you're going to need to build a bit of rapport with. Just test it. Once you've got past that first part of the conversation, the first question you need to ask is what is their goal? Whether that be with their fitness, their business, their dating, whatever it is. But you need to get specific with them straight away. In case you haven't noticed, people love talking about themselves. This is very low resistance. But 9 times out of 10, they'll have no problem answering that question. If they do have a problem with it, and this goes for any of the questions, then they're not an ideal fit. But to get to the end destination, which in this case is the call, you also need to have a starting destination. Imagine you open up Google Maps and you only put in the end destination. You don't put your starting point in. You're not going to end up moving anywhere. Never assume their goal and always get them to talk about it straight away. Question number 2, you need to get really specific with them about it. I would often ask 2 questions at once and say, where are you at right now and where are you trying to be? So if you're a fitness coach and they said in the first question they want to lose weight, ask them what they currently weigh right now and what they're aiming to be. Teaching people how to make money, how much are they making right now and how much do they want to make? This is important because A, they're going to start visualizing the outcome. People often become emotionally attached to futures that they describe themselves. As well as that, you can keep repeating it back to them throughout the rest of the questions, continuously reminding them of that gap between where they are now and where they want to be. Imagine you're helping them across that bridge between where they are now and where they want to be. Every question they're answering from you is a step closer towards that goal and along that bridge. Now, question number 3, another very important one. How long has it been since they've been at their desired goal, or how long have they been trying to get there? Now, how you word that question is completely dependent on your offer and what they've answered previously. If they're trying to lose weight, obviously ask them how long it's been since they've been at that weight that they desire. But if you're teaching them how to make money, obviously I'm going to assume that they probably haven't made the amount that they want to yet. Ask them how long they've been trying for. Either way, especially when it's been a long time, if they're repeating that to themselves, they're going to start realizing, wow, I really need help. This is one of the first questions, and we've actually asked people that, and straight away they've gone, wow, I really do need help. It's been 10 years, it's been 15 years. Because believe it or not, day to day, that's not actually what they think about. But if you get them to start thinking about it, they're more and more likely to realize that they really do need your help. If someone has been stuck for years and years, the problem is no longer information, it's implementation. That's where you come in to hold them accountable and actually help them implement what they already know. Now, you can build on question 3 by using question 4. This is where we start getting into their motivations. Why do they need to do this? Why is it important? I would personally word it something like, what's motivating you to go all in and do this right now compared to the last 5 years, 10 years, however long they said it's been? Because then again, they're going to start to realize, wow, it's really been this long and I've made no progress. And then they'll start to give you all their pain, all their reasons why they really need to start getting this done now. And they'll also start remembering their why. That's what we always say, right? Remember why you're doing something. That's why you're not going to quit as soon as it gets difficult. Get them to start thinking about that, then all it's going to do is motivate them to take action. Their goal is the surface level answer. It's important to know pain and motivation is really what's going to get them to take action. Now, I'm going to still say this is part of question 4 because I actually see this as an optional question. If they gave a very blunt answer for the motivation question, or they just feel like they didn't give enough, you're not getting enough out of them, ask them this question as a follow-up. How does your day-to-day life change once you actually achieve this and make it happen? Future pacing them. They're now imagining success. This is where they're going to start selling themselves because they're going to start to visualize what their day-to-day will actually look like once they achieve this goal, how their life will actually change, how they can impact other people around them. They're going to start selling themselves on the call, which is what's going to convince them that it was their idea and not yours. And once we've moved past the really deep pain and motivation, we're going to get a bit technical again. We're going to ask them what's holding them back. You can ask it in a way that says, what's holding you back from achieving XYZ goal? Or what's holding you back from, and you could say, defeating whatever pain point they get. You can use either the pain or the actual goal itself to tie back into this. Yet again, this is where they're probably going to sell themselves a little bit because they're going to tell you it's something like consistency, ability, time, confusion, and whatever they say, have a solution for it. An example, if you can. I had a client that dealt with the exact same thing until they found us and we helped them with the structure and the guidance, and you know where I'm going. After giving that example, that's exactly how you're going to transition into asking, have they ever worked with a coach before? That's question 6. When you ask this as well, phrase it like this. Have you ever worked with a coach before for guidance or direction, or is this your first time reaching out? Again, you're putting it in their mind that this was their idea. Even if it was actually you that reached out at the start, if the conversation's already been that good up to this point, they're not going to pull you up on it. They're not going to say, oh, well, you reached out to me. Certainly the Americans won't anyway. Some of the British people might, but it's less than 1%, I promise you. I very rarely ever see it. This is a chance to get some objections out of them. Have they had a bad experience before and they're hesitant coming into this time? They've never done it because they think it's too much money? Have they just thought this whole time that they could do it on their own? Which, well, if they say that, you can pull them up on it and say, well, you've been doing this for 5, 10 years, however long they said at the start of the conversation. How's that worked out for you? Obviously, you know, be a bit more professional than that, but you get the point. Take that chance to handle any of these things before you move into the call. The next question 7, we're nearing the end now. It's a very simple one now. After you've handled whatever objections came up in the last question, if there was any, do you think having that extra guidance, structure, direction, however you want to word it, is what you need right now? Again, if the conversation's already been good up to this point, then there will be no answer except a yes. It's important to phrase it like that because you're not telling them buy coaching, this is clearly what you need. Never do that, by the way. Don't tell them what they need, help them work it out themselves. But you're getting them to say that that's exactly what they need, and from there it's very easy to book them in. Because people trust conclusions that they arrive at themselves. And honestly, as I mentioned at the start, this is probably the main question that setters miss. And it's so important because A, it makes for a very smooth transition into the call. Also, offering the call after this question just makes sense. They talk themselves into coaching, they talk themselves into a call. It's natural from here on out, it's not forced, it doesn't feel like you're hustling them into a call. You've had a really good conversation with them up to this point where they feel like they've been able to open up to you, where you're listening to them, you're giving some back as well. If they say yes to this, well, the call should be obvious. So of course, the final question, you have to offer the call. I would personally normally word it something like, would it be helpful if we hopped on a call, if we can help you hit X goal? No promises, but it seems like it's at least worth a conversation. No promises part is really important because it's almost like you're pushing them away a bit. You don't need them to get on the call basically. And you're not drilling it into them that you're guaranteeing them some sort of amazing result. That on its own will build trust because every other coach in this industry is just telling them, you're going to get this result, they're pressuring them into the call. Without the prospect really feel like they've been understood or heard, or even treated like a human being, more like a source of income for the business. Basic psychology. People are more likely to agree to something when they feel understood. Up to this point, they should have felt understood, so a yes to the call should be light work. The goal of appointment setting or sales in general isn't to convince people to book a call or to convince people to buy something. It's to help them realise that they need it themselves. And if it turns out they don't need it, then that's fine. Don't try and push them. What that's going to do is destroy your brand perception, if anything. If there is already a clear gap there and you've just helped them see it, then, well, the call is the next logical step. Start asking all of these questions in order and watch your bookings double within the next week.